God is asking Jonah to evaluate his attitude. And your next step is to pause and evaluate your attitude too. Where are you? If you live below the line, your life is miserable. Jonah's life was miserable. If you look at the whole story, it was miserable when he left for Tarshish. It was miserable when he was in the boat. It was miserable when he was in the fish. It was miserable on the way to Nineveh. It was miserable when he was in Nineveh. It was miserable when he left Nineveh. It was miserable when he was sitting under the plant. His whole story is miserable because he's constantly living below the line. When you're below the line, there's only one thing that you can do to get above the line and to live the life that God's calling you to. You've got to let it go. I'm going to channel my inner Elsa. I'm going to start to sing. Let it go. I'm not going to sing. But you've got to let it go. Letting it go doesn't mean that the person gets off scot-free. It doesn't mean that what they did was right. It doesn't mean that you think what they did was right. What it means is that you refuse to let hurt hold you hostage. When you let it go, you are choosing to live above the line. When you let it go, you're refusing to be held hostage by the hurt and the hate. You're not saying they were right. You're saying, I'm going to take my hands off their neck and just let God take care of it. Here's what Hebrews says. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everybody. Don't take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. I know what they did was wrong. I know that it hurt you. I know that you were embarrassed. I know you're still hurting. I know it was unexpected, and I know you're still scared. But it is God's to repay, and I will repay, says the Lord. He says, let it go. And you're not letting it go for their sake. You're letting it go for your own sake. You're refusing to be held hostage. What I want for you, I'm sure there's somebody in your mind right now that you're thinking about who's hurt you, who you want to just feel a little bit of that pain. If there's someone in your mind, here's your challenge. Between now and Easter, I want you to pray for that person. Now, maybe you can't pray that, hey, they feel better, or maybe you can't pray that, yeah, their life is amazing, or yeah, I hope God's blessing is on them. Maybe you can't pray that. But you can pray that God gives you a chance to see them the way that He sees them. God, help me see my mom the way you see my mom. Help me see my husband the way that you see my husband. Help me see my kids the way that you see my kids. Past my hurt, past my pain. God, help me love them the way that you love them. Help me see my boss the way you see my boss. Maybe you can't let it go today. Maybe you can't let it go tomorrow. But you've got to put yourself on a trajectory to eventually let it go. Or you will forever be held hostage by your hurt.